Hi, lady. This is Ann Kullberg, and I'm here to give you my critique of the pieces that you entered into CP Treasures, Volume 9. And, whoops, let's see. You entered 3, and this one is called Jeans 1952, MG. And it's on Stonehenge. It's 12 by 16. And then another piece that you entered is called Arizona Cactus. It's also on Stonehenge. It's a 10 by 11. And then this one, Audrey, a Stonehenge, 8 by 10. And this is the one that we accepted into Hidden Treasures. So I'm going to save that for last. I'll start with this. This is a really nice piece. I mean, initially my first, glance at it is like, ooh, that's very well done. And there are some things that are very, very well done. The chrome in particular here, the chrome is just really nice. This little glowing effect here. Your very hard edges, which is what you need to have convincing chrome reflections. Very crisp hard edges, that's done very well. As are these headlamps, really well done, and I can't imagine that was easy, especially on Stonehenge, because you can't put light on top of dark. So you had to either leave all of those the grid of the lighter grid of the, I guess it's the back of the lamp. You either had to leave that white and work around it, or you had to scrape it out. But Stonehenge doesn't scrape very well, as far as like using a slice tool or something. So my guess is that you left it. And to do it that uniformly with really straight edges is like not easy, and I think that you did a beautiful job. I also really love the windshield. I think just somehow the diagonal stroke to imply glass, I think, is really cool. I think where you have a little trouble, there's a couple of things. The yellow, to me, it feels like too much of I can see too much of the Stonehenge. Like, because most of it, like in the chrome area, you don't see very much of the Stonehenge coming through. Like, there's not much texture because you needed it to be smooth. But actually, the painted benders need to be smooth too. So I think either a little more burnishing or just more density so that there's not so much of the paper tooth shows through would have helped there a lot. Now, the kind of same with the grid, like parts of the grid or grill are real nice and dark, but then other parts of like the gray doesn't look convincing. It looks like you just didn't put enough color there. So I'm not exactly sure what that is, but this part, and it may also be the photography, how you took the picture of the picture. But and then but I think the thing that most sort of jumped out at me are the tire treads, because they're not exactly going, it's a drawing problem. So treads look like treads, so that part is good. You've got the dark and then the light for the highlight, but the actual flow, the elegance of that line, it shouldn't be turning that way on both of these. And then these are real straight, almost like with straight lines, but they would have to, there's just a little drawing problem there. And then if you're going to get super picky, which you kind of have to on a piece this technically, like it's so crisp and clean, there are some curves here that are not exactly true. This isn't exactly perfectly round. Probably in this case, or for something like this, I would probably use a template, and trace to make sure that those lines, or a compass even, is that what they're called? Gosh, those compasses that you used in grade school in a million years ago. Yeah, because on something like this, if any circle isn't quite a circle, the brain goes, hey, what's going on? Everything else is realistic. Anyway, I'm spending too much time on this. Really, it's a very, very nice piece. It's an A piece. Now we have the cactus. This one, I don't know. I think there's quite a bit that's not quite working in this. The greens are so different. The composition is a little odd. I mean, it's right in the middle, but then you have some pretty strong elements outside that they're not balanced. You know, you've got a little bit here, but then you have a lot here. The dirt is just not very convincing. Your light source isn't convincing. Like, I think that it's a highlighted piece because I think this is a highlight. But then there's not enough contrast between the highlight and the dark if it's that bright a highlight. So the light, you haven't captured light. And you haven't captured it just mostly because you don't have the darks dark enough and the lights light enough, or the midtones light enough. I mean, even your lights, like if this is truly bright light, like you would need to get this sort of highlight, then these here should all be quite light also, these little tips. Now here you're approaching dark enough, and so that's this section right here reads more like sunlight. But then down here it just doesn't. So I don't know. I think you have some light issues going on with that one. This one is very sweet, Audrey, the one that we accepted. There's a lot of wonderful things happening here. First of all, the drawing. The eyes are beautiful. The nose is perfect. I love that little nose. You did that just perfectly. It's actually, you did it how I teach to do it, like that, to draw this, well, here, to, you know, draw this little teardrop and then come down and then go up, and you draw that up there. And once you've done that, you have a nose, basically. Do a couple of lines on either side and you've got a nose. And you didn't overdo it, you didn't underdo it. It's absolutely perfect. The highlights are just right. You got dark enough under here. I could wax eloquent about that nose. But then we get to the mouth, which is also perfectly drawn. And the depth, you know, by going dark enough inside the mouth, you've got a lot of depth, so you really feel like that's an opening. And then this little light under here, over here, those little differences in value give you the shape of the mouth just perfectly. And then I think that the texture of the jacket, or if you're in England, maybe it's a jumper or a sweatshirt, whatever, that was beautifully done. This is, you know, also on Stonehenge, and I, you know, assume you used a really dull point or the side of your pencil to get that texture, and I love it. And I might even encourage you to do more work where you are showing this sort of texture, because you do it very, very well. You still blended it. I will caution you about backgrounds, because I notice it on this with the dirt and then this down here, to take your time. I think that you are rushing the backgrounds, the parts that are less interesting for you. Because all of this stroking, if you want us to see a lot of stroke, then really let us see a lot of stroke. If you don't, if it's just a background and you want it smooth, then take more time, get it more dense. That doesn't mean darker, just more dense, more, you know, a smaller stroke, and really fill it up. Because it is a fair bit distracting to see this much sort of texture going on in the background that you don't really, there isn't really any need for. And then, I don't know, something about this hat right here isn't working as well as all the rest of the piece. It probably would have worked a little better if you had stuck with this real textured technique on the hat, whether it was like that in the photo or not, because you do this really, really well, and because this somehow isn't working. And I think it might be like right here, it almost looks overworked, like you weren't quite getting it, so it kept going, or you kept using heavier pressure. There's really nothing else in the piece other than the swing, the swing is this dense and dark, except for right over here in the eyes, and there's no real reason for that to be there. So so that brings the piece down just a teeny tiny bit. Very nicely done hand. I mean, this is a 95%, fabulous piece, which, if we can all get 95% all the time, we'd be all very happy. Very nice ear. I mean, I would say that the difference between this piece and this piece is probably it comes down to love. I mean, I think that you maybe love this little child, Audrey, but I think you should consider doing more, because the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the skin tones, I mean, they're dead on. So that's my take. All right, thanks, lady. Bye-bye.